Good morning, guys, and Happy New Year. Welcome to 2021. And I've been putting a lot of recipes together. The team has been putting a lot of recipes together. We're really excited to explore food a little bit more in 2021 with you guys. So some of the things that I've been cooking this week and will be cooking this week are still taking leftovers from the holidays and putting them to good use. One of the things that I love in the winter and fall are hearty soups and stews. And so you'll see a theme right now in some of the things that I personally am cooking. So I went to the farmer's market the other day to pick some stuff up before we had dinner yesterday with some friends for New Year's Eve. And we have a couple local farmers markets nearby that I visit every day. We pick up scraps for the animals here on the farm or ranch, and they had collard greens. And when I was a kid, I would see collard greens in the store. I would hear about people eating collard greens, and it was always a kind of a southern thing. I grew up in the Midwest, or it was an ethnic thing, and I never knew what to do with them. So anyway, they had this giant batch of collard greens. See how pretty that green is? And that was exactly what I thought when I saw them at the farmer's market. So I picked up some things at the farmer's market and saw a sign about collard green soup. I was like, I am going to come up with something brilliant to do with all those greens. So what I have here in my stock pot on the stove is I cut up 3 onions into a large, I wouldn't even call it a dice, I would call it chunks. And then I took 3 packages of a locally made sausage, just a mild smoked sausage. This is basically 15 sausage links that I cut up just into slices. Put some bacon grease in my stock pot, put it on high, and sauteed everything just to get it warmed through. The onions are just translucent, not browned. And then I am a huge fan of certain root vegetables. So when a recipe calls for potatoes, I avoid white potatoes because they're high in oxalic acid. I'm very sensitive to them. They also have a really high glycemic load, and I have insulin resistance issues. And so I don't use potatoes. Instead, I like to substitute other root vegetables that are better for me, more nutrient dense, and have less plant toxins in them. And one of my favorite root vegetables to use in place of a potato is the rutabaga. So I've already chopped the top and bottom off of this one, but they have a little waxy skin. You would peel the skin off, and then I dice them up. So I have them diced here, and they're gonna go in my pot for my soup. The other thing I added in here was a couple of parsnips. If you've never seen a parsnip, the parsnips look like carrots, but they're white with a little bit of purple on them. So all I did was dice up, I think there's 5 parsnips total in here. It was whatever I grabbed in the bag that they had at the farm stand. And I just dice them, again, a rough chop, just trying to make all the pieces kind of be consistently the same size so that they cook at the same rate. Otherwise, there is not a lot of method to my madness. I really think that cooking should be fun and experimental, and it shouldn't be rigid and have a plan. In this pan, the only other thing I've added so far is a lot of garlic, because I love garlic. So when I type the recipe up for this post, it's not going to be exactly the way that I made it. It's going to be more rigid for those of you who like systems, but it won't come out exactly like mine because I add lots of seasonings, lots of garlic, because I love garlic. I'm Italian, what can I say? And so then I'm just going to add some salt to this while it cooks. And if you'd like to add some pepper, add some pepper. I don't even know where mine is right now, so we're going to wait on that so I can run away and grab it. And then I'm just gonna let these cook slightly. And I'm gonna add some broth. Stir this around so it's all incorporated. Okay, so during the holidays, when I cook, I've talked about in other videos, we have our big Christmas party, then we host Christmas Eve, and this year we hosted New Year's Eve as well, and we hosted Thanksgiving. So I've been doing a lot of cooking for the last month and a half, and each time I do that, I take the carcasses and I make my own bone broth. So after our Christmas party, I had a turkey carcass, I had the bones from the lamb roast that I made. We made 4 leg of lamb. And I had, and the duck carcasses. I had 3 carcasses from the ducks that I made for the party. So instead of making individual broths, I put all of the carcasses in one pan, cover it with water. I have a huge stock pot. This is my second largest stock pot. I actually use the biggest one that I have. And I cover it with water and I cook it down for 2 or 3 days. So I bring it up to a boil with onions, celery, carrots, garlic. You can put thyme in it. I didn't put any seasoning in it because everything had been seasoned and I just wanted it to do its thing. So like my turkey had Cajun seasoning, so there was some of that, and the lambs had rosemary on them, so there was some of that already in there. So anyway, I just cooked that down. Brought it to a boil, let it simmer on my stove for 2 entire days, then strained everything out and jarred it. So this is the broth that I made. I made 12 of these quart jars of the broth, and I am already been using it to cook, so I'm already down to 6. I've used up half of them. This is the 6th one I'm using. So I'm going to pour this in here just to cover these. And then the rest of it's gonna just be water. But the last thing I'm gonna do is add in my collard greens. And I'm just gonna, again, a rough chop of the tops of the greens to get that bright green color in there. I've got my cutting board here. So I'm moving out of the way for a second. Bear with me. So all I did was a rough chop and throw that in there. And I'm gonna actually throw this entire bunch, taking out some of the wilty leaves. I'm gonna throw this entire bunch in here, chop it up. The rest of this is gonna go to my rabbits out back when I'm done. Which is what we do. I've got, you can see my scrap bowl on the back table there. That's for my piggies. My greens go to my rabbits. So everything gets used up here. Things go to the chickens. So there's really no waste. We use up every little bit of everything. That in here. Some of these wilty ones over here. This was just an amazingly beautiful bright green. It's a little bit more wilted now because I bought it 2 days ago because I knew I was going to make this on New Year's Day. I wanted to make a soup that could cook down all day long and have something hearty tonight for dinner for everybody, but that wasn't going to take me a ton of prep time or needed a whole lot of attention because, like I said, I've been cooking a lot lately, and quite frankly, I'm a little over it. At least over the part where I have to run and check on things, and I'm multitasking and I'm making lots of dishes at once. I love the idea of a one pan or one pot meal where you fix it and forget it. That's my favorite kind. I actually have 2 crock pots going right now with other meals for this week that will be in other videos. So, get the last of these once these are already all in here, I've actually literally filled my entire stock pot with the greens, but those will cook down. And just mix it up. And then I'm going to cover it to the top with water. Add my pepper because I missed that. And any other herbs or spices that you want to use. I've got some fresh herbs from our garden that I have dried that I will put in there, like a little blend of some of my favorite things: oregano, thyme, parsley, basil, because I love basil and everything. And stick them in here and let this cook on a low simmer all day long until we're ready to eat dinner. And then just serve it up. So I'll put some after pictures in the post when I post this of what it looked like when we plated it. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.